Over the years, hip-hop, gang, and crime culture have grown to be intertwined with little to no gray areas for most hardcore rappers. Sadly, while the music gets these rappers the attention they seek, the recklessness of the gang or crime culture has had many with the feds on their tail. So, in today's video, we'll be looking at some rappers the feds watched, arrested, or simply chastised. Young Thug. The RICO charge is a rapper's worst nightmare, and one famous rapper that has been caught in its troubles in recent times is Atlanta rapper Young Thug. The rapper was arrested by the feds on the 9th of May 2022 for violating the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, citing his participation in street gang activity. His arrest was a result of a 10-year investigation by the feds on the rapper and his YSL crew, and the charges levied against him were said to be from an 88-page indictment, with over 56 charges made against him and his crew. He and his crew were charged with being members of a violent street gang that had carried out murder, armed robberies, illegal drug sales and distribution, intimidated witnesses, and assaulted law enforcement authorities. In any case, since getting arrested, his condition is allegedly to have become worse after his lawyer acknowledged that the rapper was being held in solitary confinement and total isolation away from other inmates, with no human contact interactions. Aside from that, the Go Crazy rapper has admitted to thinking of taking his own life, as the feds are dropping down heavy on him. "I tried to cry, but ain't nothing left. I contemplated doing myself, nigga. The most suicide deaths are in jail, but let's not forget that this ain't hell. I'm just sitting here in my cell like, damn, I'm really in jail? God, give me another chance to show you I can prevail. I could put my arms from wall to wall inside this tiny ass cell," Young Thug rapped. Fetty Wap. The Trap Queen rapper had the feds breathing down heavily on his neck in October 2021 when they issued an indictment against him, charging him with one count of conspiracy to distribute and possess 500 grams of cocaine. According to the feds, the rapper was involved in a scheme in which he and his crew picked up cocaine in Suffolk County and moved it to his home state of New Jersey for distribution. And despite being released on a $500,000 bond, he was put back in jail after violating the terms of his parole for waving a gun at a person during a FaceTime call. In any case, after pleading guilty to the charges levied against him, he faces a minimum of 5 years and a maximum of 40 years. However, the feds want him to serve between 7 and 9 years in prison, alleging he was a large-scale narcotics trafficker in the early months of the pandemic. His situation is said to be bad at the moment, as the prison he's being held has refused to put him with the general population or provide him with a CPAP machine to help his sleep apnea. Whatever the case, Fetty Wap's situation with the feds is a serious one. Yak Gotti. Young Thug and Gunna were not the only ones the feds got in their massive RICO charge, as many other members of the YSL were accused of the same crime, and one of them is Yak Gotti. Aside from the RICO charge, the Gotti Outta Here rapper was also accused of involvement in the 2015 fatal shooting of Donovan Big Nut Thomas, after he and another YSL associate, Martinez Arnold, aka YSL Duke, were caught while en route to a rival gang territory with an AK-47 assault rifle and a .40 caliber handgun. In any case, the rapper has been eager to clarify that he never snitched on Duke, even though many assume he did because he later pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. 2015, my brother never did a day in jail because I claimed my shit, the post read. "I did 4 years fed with no tears. Stop the cap," Yak Gotti shared on his Instagram. Bobby Shmurda. Back in 2014, Bobby Shmurda was on the rise before it all came crashing down when the feds got to him. All eyes were on him at the time, from Drake to Beyonce, including those of the feds. Along with 14 other GS9 members, he was arrested outside Quad Studios on suspicion of conspiracy, reckless endangerment, and weapons possession. The feds had arrested him after a year-long investigation related to their potential involvement in shootings and drug trafficking. In any case, he and 13 members of the GS9 crew pleaded not guilty to all the charges levied against them by the feds, but were held on a $2 million bail, which was around the same amount as his Epic recording contract. Bobby Shmurda stressed that he felt he was being targeted because of his rap music. In any case, he later accepted a plea agreement after 2 years had passed since his arrest, deciding to serve 7 years in prison rather than risk a trial. He, however, insists that he is innocent, explaining that he accepted the plea offer out of loyalty to his friend rather than because he didn't think he could win the case. "I did it for Rowdy. They offered me 5 years and offered Rowdy 12. They said the only way they'll give him 7 is if I took 7 too. So I had to take one for the dogs. If we made bail, I would have beat the case. I didn't get caught with anything on me and the cops lied saying they seen me with a gun in my hand. I explained the whole situation to Epic and they were behind me all the way, Shmurda said. Ja Rule. Next up, we have Ja Rule. From conspiracy to commit murder to tax evasion, Living It Up rapper has had multiple run-ins with the feds. In 2004, the feds were looking to charge rapper Ja Rule and 2 of his bodyguards with conspiracy to commit murder, among other things. This happened after 2 men were fatally shot outside a party hosted by Ja Rule at a Manhattan nightclub. 3 years after the incident, he and Lil Wayne were both arrested on drug and gun possession charges, and later in 2010, he was sentenced to 2 years in jail for those charges, spending the first year on Rikers Island before being transferred to a state prison in upstate New York. T.I. was no stranger to being arrested by the feds as a young boy. In 1997, he received a 3-year prison sentence for a drug conviction. In any case, the feds have been keeping an eye on him ever since he broke through in the rap scene, and were waiting for him to trip up, and he did in 2007. On October 13th, just 4 hours before he was supposed to perform at the BET Hip Hop Awards show, T.I. was arrested for purchasing unregistered machine guns and silencers from a cooperating witness with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The cooperating witness had been T.I.'s bodyguard for 4 months before the arrest. Nevertheless, he eventually pled guilty to federal weapons charges and was sentenced to an undefined prison sentence, a year of house arrest, and 1,500 hours of community service. T.I. had the Federal Bureau of Prisons ID 59458-019 and was released from CCM Atlanta on March 26, 2010. Interestingly, even after getting released for the gun charge, he and his wife were arrested 6 months later on drug charges, which resulted in an extra 11 months in prison for violating the terms of his probation. NWA. One of the most controversial groups in gangster rap was without a doubt the NWA, Niggas with Attitudes. Their album Straight Outta Compton was also one of the first albums to adhere to the parental advisory label scheme. Their lyrics were explicit, with many emphasis on drugs and crime. It got so bad that they were banned from many mainstream American radio stations. Anyway, the group was open about its disdain for the police, and their most famous song, Fuck the Police, attracted not just the attention of the police, but also the FBI. At the time of the song's release, the FBI sent a letter to the NWA and their distributing company, Priority Records, threatening the rappers. Interestingly, even the policemen refused to provide security for the group's concerts, intentionally sabotaging their tour. But whatever the case may be, from their creation in 1987 to 1991, the feds made it clear their mission was to watch them slip up. Pras Michel. Last on our list is the most controversial rapper versus feds relationship in recent years, Pras Michel. In what would be his first encounter with the feds, the former Fugees artist's legal trouble is one that is a decade-long investigation that implicates 2 of the past 3 presidential administrations, Leonardo DiCaprio, Goldman Sachs, and casino tycoon Steve Wynn. And it all originated from Pras's relationship with Law Taik Jo, aka Jo Law, a Malaysian who carried out one of the largest embezzlement schemes in history, stealing more than $4.5 billion from the Malaysian Sovereign Wealth Fund known as 1MDB. And according to the US Department of Justice, Pras and Law worked together to orchestrate an ambitious and elaborate international conspiracy. Firstly, they tried to influence the re-election of Obama in 2012, then pressured the Trump administration to end its investigation into 1MDB, and finally, Pras pushed for the extradition of a Chinese dissident from the US. As of April 2023, Pras has been found guilty of 10 criminal counts in the US District Court for the District of Columbia, and if found guilty of all counts levied against him, he could serve 22 years in prison. In any case, the former member of the Fugees seems to be the fall guy for the crimes of many, but one can't deny that his case is one of the biggest Fed cases levied against a rapper in recent years. So what are your thoughts about our list? Do you think we missed any important names? Let us know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.